It's a little 2 minutes after 7. It's nice to see you here this evening. I didn't know if we were going to have anybody show up because of all the different activities in the holiday season, but I see that we have a pretty good crowd. And as we advertise, this will end at 8 o'clock from 7 to 8. But we have an open agenda this evening, so if you have questions, concerns, ideas, that's what this open forum is all about. So, anybody? Oh my goodness. I'm in trouble. Well, we were a little prepared for a reaction of this nature. So, I'm going to ask Pam Farr, who is in charge of our teaching and learning area in our district, to come up and talk to us a little bit about a very important project that we're involved with, Project Aware. Pam.
So we have a couple of handouts to give you. Project Aware is a federal grant. We are one of 3 school districts in the state of Washington that received this grant. We're in the 2nd year of a 5-year grant. The project grew out of the Sandy Hook tragedy. It was the federal response to how can we help work with kids who have mental illness issues or adolescents that have mental illness issues, and to get them services and get them help before there are tragedies. And so we are participating in this project with the Battleground and Marysville school districts. We're the smallest school district, so we're kind of lucky that we get a lot of good stuff. The benefits of the grant, we actually have a full-time mental health counselor this year at Oakland Bay Junior High School. We're working with our elementary schools on what they call an evidence-based practice. That's a prevention initiative that we're trying, and we also are working on our positive behavior and intervention support systems in each of our schools, so helping to make sure that we have positive and productive learning environments in our schools and that kids participate in a positive and productive way. And then finally, we have a community initiative related to Project Aware, and that is a training program for youth mental health first aid. And we actually have had several of the trainings in our district. Our administrators and counselors have all been trained. Our special education staff has all been trained. And we are going to be having another training coming up in January, and it is open to members of the community, and there's no charge. And we also have a flyer about that. And we have a registration form, so if anyone would like to register, everyone is welcome. And really sort of targeting on this next go-around parents. They'd really like to get parents and community members involved. They'll be training over 100 people each year for the next 5 years in youth mental health first aid, which is really a program to help identify the signs and symptoms of mental illness, help kids who may be getting to a place where they're going to be experiencing a crisis, help them before they get there, help them access community resources and get the help they need so they don't have some of those terrible consequences. So we do have registration flyers if you're interested in those. We'd love to have you participate, and if you have any questions, be happy to try to answer them, or there's a contact person on the flyer. So questions? Yes, ma'am.
How are you targeting scout directors and sport coaches? Are you getting this all out to the whole community?
Yes, so what we're trying to do this time is we're advertising, we're of course putting things on our website, we're sending things out to service clubs, we're asking the schools to all put something in their newsletters, so we're trying to reach out into the broader community. I think we'll be on our website too, so we'll just try to get the word out to as many people as we can. And they have a cap of 30 participants per session. So if the session fills up, there will be another one that's coming. And in addition to that, right now, we only have the capacity to offer the training in English, but they're working to train 2 trainers who would be able to provide the training in Spanish as well. So that will be coming a little bit later this year. But right now, it's just in English.
Thank you, Pam. Well, you know, of course, what Pam was just talking about is consistent with everything that we're trying to do in the district in terms of supporting our students, supporting our families, and specifically as it relates to Graduation Matters Shelton, which is a huge effort to bring the entire community together to support our families and our students so that they not only graduate from high school, but they go on and do what they want to do. And it's not necessarily just going on to college. That works for some kids, but some kids will do other things when they graduate. Start their own businesses, go to a community college, go to a technical school. But whatever they do, what we're going to try to do is make sure that they have the confidence and the skills to do what they want to do when they graduate from high school. And the objective is, and some people think, well, it's too idealistic, but the objective is that we have a 100% graduation rate, and we can get there. And I think I've mentioned to some of you in various conversations that we have schools around us in other districts where they're over 92%. And if they can get to 92%, we can do that even better. So it's basically bringing the entire community together and identifying the role and responsibility that we all have to make sure that we're supporting our kids. And I've always said that, you know, this is the greatest country in the world, and why shouldn't we have a 100% graduation rate? And we're working to make that happen in every day, in everything that we do. So we have a launch of Graduation Matters Shelton on January 14th from 5:30 to 6:25 p.m. in the Civic Center. And I would encourage all of you to attend so that we can show our students the support that they have and that we care about them. And I can't repeat this enough. And some of you have heard me say it dozens of times, that there's 2 reasons why kids drop out of school. They feel that nobody cares, and that the program is not relevant, or they're bored. Those are the main reasons that 1,250,000 high school students drop out of our high schools every single year. It used to be more than that about 7 years ago, about 1.5 million to 1,700,000 students dropping out of our high schools. We can't, as a country, afford that to happen much longer. I mean, we just can't, because it impacts so many of us in so many different ways. You know, today we had a meeting, some of the board members and I, we had a meeting in North Thurston with legislators, and I made the comment that there's nothing more powerful and influential than public education. It affects economic prosperity, economic development, and quality of life. And it's absolutely essential that we do everything we can to make sure that our kids are being supported. So that's the mission and the vision of our school district. Graduation. Making sure kids graduate, making sure the dropout is extremely low, making sure that we have an instructional program that meets the needs of students in the 21st century. We're 16 years into the 21st century. And we have a staff, and I know this because I visit the schools and I see our staff working very hard to do everything possible to develop and implement a 21st century program. And there are many challenges in the classroom these days, more than ever before. And we need the legislature and the community to support our school district so we can provide the very best for our kids. Questions, comments? Yes, ma'am.
So you mentioned something about there's supposed to be mental health plan going on in the elementaries. Can you explain that?
We're actually looking at what they call an evidence-based practice. Part of the grant is to identify and implement. And we've been looking at something called the PACS Good Behavior Game that we're looking at beginning implementation in kindergarten, possibly first grade. It's really a way of setting up a very safe and supportive learning environment that helps kids be able to self-regulate and self-manage and behave in a positive way. With lots of help and support from all the other kids in the class. We've had a presentation from the developer of that program, and we had a representative from each of our kindergarten classes who were there, and they're very interested in it. So we're looking at whether we can set up a training this year and get that rolling in our very early primary grades, and then potentially grow it up.
Thank you. Well, we have a few board members here this evening, and Carrie and Ginger and Sally and Cheryl, past board member. Do you have anything that you want to add to the conversation? Anything at all? I don't want to put you on the spot, but Sally, do you want to mention anything about our meeting this morning?
This morning we met with legislators, and okay, what's going to happen this session? It's a short session, and they don't usually do major policies. So a lot of it, of course, will be around McCleary and what can we do that needs to be done immediately. Otherwise, pretty much in that arena, it's looking forward to next year and the long session. I'm just really excited. I think we're in very exciting times for education. It is forefront in people's minds across the nation. We just passed the new Elementary Secondary Education Act. Is no longer No Child Left Behind. It's now Every Student Succeeds Act. So looking for that in a way, it seems like No Child Left Behind was everybody will succeed if they all learn the same way. And we're going to bring them up so they fit these boxes. You know, so they learned a lot through that. Our kids don't fit in one box, none of us do. And so it's, what are we doing for each and every one of our kids that are our country that is so diverse in so many different ways, that we're here to support each and every child. So I've been in education for a long time. I was a classroom teacher, and I taught the teacher ed programs at WSU, and I worked at OSPI. So I've had a lot of different background, and I really do believe we are in some exciting times. Trying times. How do we do this all? How do we all work together? And that's the only way we're ever going to do this, is by our schools, our communities, everyone working together, get our families. It's not just the schools. We can't do it alone. It's not just the families. They can't do it alone. But especially in these times when education is changing so much, what are we doing also? Not just supporting our kids in the classroom. How are we supporting families so that they in turn can help their children at home and at school?
Thank you, Sally. Thank you very much. Anybody else? Cheryl? Anything?
We started this program, this grant came through
year 2 or 3 of my tenure, and it's a really great program. I really encourage everyone to take advantage of it. I'm going to go to the Youth Mental Health First Aid for a Dutch Girl Scout troop. So if you have like an ask PM about coaches or anything, no.
Okay. I don't want to put you on the spot. Anybody else? Any comments? comments on what we've discussed this evening? Yes, sir.
I had a question. It's kind of a mechanical question, maybe too much in the weeds, so I'm just curious, back when I was in school here, that what they called grading on the curve. Probably not done anymore, so, but when you say everybody graduates, that kind of implies that everybody passes every class they're in. Is that sort of true? Or the main question is, how do you decide what score gets what grade nowadays? Like, and I have a follow-up question.
Go ahead.
What was this mental health stuff when I was in high school here when I needed it? That's a lame kind of joke, sorry. It's too late for me now.
Well, when we say that we want all students to graduate, what we're saying is, we're also saying that we want them to graduate through a rigorous and relevant educational program. I made a presentation in a previous district about the fact that it was important to make sure that we did everything possible to support our students so that they would graduate. And I was in a room with about, I don't know, probably 150 educators. And an educator in the back of the room raised their hand and they said, okay, Alex, what we're going to do is we're just going to let every kid graduate to get to 100%. And my response to that was, I'm glad we're in a room where most of us are all educators. But I said to this individual, I hope you don't say that in public, because it's self-incriminating to make a statement like that. We know what students need to be successful in school. And when we say that we want all students to graduate, we mean it. But we also want to make sure that when they graduate, they look at their diploma and they're proud of it, that we push them to the limit. In our elementary schools, in our middle schools, in our junior high, in our high school, that they have earned it. They worked hard for it. And based on what I'm seeing in our schools, our teachers have high expectations and high standards for our kids. And that's the way it needs to be. And we're going to do some things in terms of the instructional program that's going to move the agenda even further in terms of how we teach and how students learn. So the intent is, yes, to have all kids graduate, but to graduate with the skills and the confidence to be successful in this world. And I always make the statement that we don't just want them to compete on the world stage, we want them to win. And we're all depending on our kids to lead this country to great places. So we're going to be doing our share here in Shelton to make sure that that happens. And you can be rest assured that kids won't flow through the system. They're going to have to work.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to imply that we're just going to arbitrarily pass all the kids so you can say, oh, graduate. I'm just curious how this morning was done.
Pam, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how to describe it. In terms of grading, we're moving to a system called standards-based grading, where we have certain standards that we want kids to meet, and those are outlined. And then we have levels of proficiency that we look at, and when they get to a certain level of proficiency, then they've met the standard. And so we say that not all kids have to meet the standard at the same time. So kids might take a test, and some kids might meet the proficiency standard, some might not, but then those kids who don't might have additional study time and the ability to retake the test. So the time frame might be different, but the standards are the same for the different kids. So that would be what we're moving towards in terms of the classroom grading. In terms of the assessments, there's certain standards and levels of proficiency, and there's cut scores on the state tests that say, the kids have passed the test or the kids haven't passed the test. And those are, in the new test, the new Smart Balance test, those are very rigorous standards. So they've been raising the expectations for kids, and now they're very high. So we've got a lot of work to do to get our kids all to that standard.
Thank you, Pam. Any other comments or questions?
What's been your biggest surprise since coming to Shelton School District?
Well, okay, that's a great question. And, you know, when I applied for this position, was fortunate enough to get the position, people would say to me that, well, you don't know what you're running into in Shelton. You know, there's quite a few problems and issues, and it's going to be very difficult. But what I have found, the challenges here in Shelton are no different than they have been wherever I've been employed. The same challenges exist. You know, the budget issues, the graduation rates, dropout rates, improving the teaching and learning environment. There's nothing here that I haven't experienced in every position in various districts throughout the state of Washington and beyond. The one thing that is reassuring, and I say this very sincerely, the people in Shelton are absolutely wonderful. The people in our district, the staff in our district, the parents, the business community, the people are wonderful. And the reception that they've given me and the support that they've given me, and they really don't know me that well, has been absolutely amazing. And the people I work with at the district office, and of course the board, the support to move the agenda, to raise standards and expectations, to risk, it's all here. People want that. People want to excel. There's a lot of inspiration here and the will to do what's necessary to do the very best for our kids. That to me is wonderful, and it's been great, and I'm enjoying that every single day. And that's what gives me the inspiration and the spirit to do what I'm doing as your superintendent. But I know one thing, that I wouldn't even have brought up some of the things that I brought up if I didn't feel that we had a community here that wanted to make it happen. And everywhere I go, from parents to board members to principals, teachers, they want to get better, and they're willing to put in the effort to make that happen. So I feel I'm very lucky to be here. I feel very fortunate to be the superintendent of Shelton. And I mentioned something to my cabinet that, you know, I've been in this business a while, but I'm having more fun and enjoying my work here more so than anywhere I've ever been, with all due respect. I mean, this is a great job, and I feel honored and privileged to be the superintendent of the Shelton School District. And I've had some great experiences in other places because of the people I've worked with. But I will tell you, I've never had the feeling that I have now, that I have in Shelton. And I have high hopes for what we're going to do.
I'm kind of curious, why are you having more fun here?
I don't know. Well, that's a good question. Thank you. Well, I was born and raised in Tacoma. I feel this is home. And you know, this is kind of my last stand in my profession, and I'm going to give it everything I have, like I have everywhere else, but this is pretty special to me. I was in Montana for 7 years with the intent to come back to Washington. And I have a great opportunity to be here to work with the people that I'm working with, because that's what it's all about. Unless you have a collaborative effort, it won't happen. But I believe we have what it takes here to do anything we want to do, including the Graduation Matters Shelton initiative and some of the other things that we're trying to do. It's going to happen. It won't happen overnight, but it's going to happen. I have strong faith in the system, in the people, in the community, and I can feel it. I can feel what's going to happen. And I express that every time I'm around my cabinet, around the principals. I have faith that we're going to set some very high standards. That's the intent. So I hope I answered your question, Gordon. I'm very, very happy to be here. Yes?
So when we met at OBJH last time,
Yes.
you said there was going to be training for the staff on whatever it's called, the new program. Did the children be trained? Have they been trained yet?
Yeah. You're referring to safety and security. Safety and security is, of course, our number one priority. And we've had some challenges this year at our high school that we've dealt with. And we dealt with them very swiftly. But I will tell you, we have a lot of work to do. And, you know, one of the things we're looking at is how, for example, how do we make sure that every teacher can lock their door from the inside? And having a fire extinguisher in every classroom in case they needed to use it as a weapon. That sounds rather crude, but we've been told that that's really important, that every classroom has a fire extinguisher where it can be easily accessed by the teacher or by a student. And I've got a quote on what that's going to cost. And again, I've mentioned that whatever it takes, we need to do what we need to do to protect our staff and students and our parents and community. So we're going to, I'm going to talk with the board here very shortly about what it's going to cost to provide those fire extinguishers and to provide locks on every door so that teachers can lock their doors. It's not cheap, but whatever it takes, we're going to do. In terms of training, we have a long way to go. We've got to work with our staff. We've got to work with our kids. It's an ongoing process. We're never going to be finished, but I can tell you we have a lot of work to do.
So did,
I want to take the microphone just a second just to answer the question.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you. What are you going to say? Okay. So one of the things that we're doing in our school is that because we have thought about how do we do these trainings, and we do practice, and Mindy's in charge of those regular monthly schedules that we do. But one of the things that we're doing is identifying a site for where our students can run to with teacher direction. And we actually are planning to do that as one of our regular drills, where we will literally have the students have their practice. We're going to give a heads up to our parents so they know we're doing that. But we will literally take our students to their safe spot so that they will know where their parents will be picking them up. We're not choosing Mason General Hospital, but we will have a place that we have identified, and we're hoping to work with a local church to make that happen for our students. And that will be, like I say, one of our regular drills.
Thank you, Carol. And we're working with all of our schools to create that space. Yes.
And I was going to say, the student representative on our school board was also talking about the incident at the high school, and she was citing some training that they had the fight, flight, or I'm not sure what the third option is, but it sounds like there's been some student training there at the high school as well.
There has been at OS as well.
Good. So we're having some degree of success in terms of training, but what we want to do is have a very organized approach to the training and making sure that we know what schools are doing in terms of safety and security. This is not an easy thing, for sure. It takes time, it takes money, but we're ready to put forth what we need to make sure that our students and staff are safe. It is our number one goal, safety and security. Anybody else? Gordon, anything?
So I want to put one last thing out there. I don't want to do it. No, I'll talk loud. it's a conflict of wording in the RCW laws and what the legislature is writing up about discipline in the classroom. I want to put it out there on the table. I think different people interpret it different ways, and there's lots of conflict going on at all the schools. And so I'm putting it out there that I want the discussion to begin. And I've started it with SEA, I've started it with our school, talking to the leadership people, but I think that for us to interpret what's first of all, we have to read the law because the law supersedes. So we need to go by the law. But I think different schools are doing different things as far as kids blowing out in the classroom. I think different people are interpreting imminent danger different ways. So I want to put it out there to begin the discussion to let you know it's coming down the street.
Give me an example of what you're talking about.
An example, am I allowed to use I won't use the name. I have a boy in my classroom. He is extremely low, gets frustrated very, very easily. He can spend hours under a table kicking my file cabinet, which disrupts the learning of the 24 other kids in my classroom. But he's not in imminent danger, and he's not causing anybody imminent danger. But I need to keep him in the classroom so that he can learn. And that's a conflict within me. As a teacher, I want him removed. I want a place that's safe for him to go to, blow out or do whatever he needs to do, and then come back when he's ready to learn. I want a program that will help take, and I want it for all the schools. I mean, I think everybody needs a plan because it's not fair to the other kids in the class. And this person needs a safe place to blow out. He needs the mental health counseling, whatever, retraining, learning. The family needs that mental health training.
I can't disagree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly. And that's why I mentioned that in my travels throughout the district, I see our teachers dealing with situations that you're bringing up. It's in addition to many others. So, I don't know if a plan of consistency regarding that particular issue will work, but we do need to discuss it, and we need to come up with a plan on how we're going to support our teachers in the classroom when these things happen. And not only support our teachers, but support the student that has these special needs. I think that's going to be important. I think that's an important discussion to have because it's very difficult. But as you as a teacher, you want to teach all the kids, but when a situation like that comes about, it makes it extremely difficult. And we need to have a plan on what we're going to do. And if we don't have a plan that's working, then we need to sit down and talk about it and figure out a way to support our teachers and to support our students that are in those situations. So bring it forward, please. That's great. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Sir?
I did have a question on the security thing.
The
safety security thing. Are you considering things to prevent a student or anybody bringing a firearm into the school, like metal detectors or whatever? Or there things you guys are thinking about to just keep it out of the building in the first place?
Well, there's a balance there. In my last position, there was an effort to arm teachers, and that didn't go anywhere, thank God. I was not interested in supporting something like that. There are schools in this country where they have barbed wire around the campus, and they have metal detectors to get into the school, and they lock all the doors. There's one entrance in, one exit out. I mean, there are schools in this country, unfortunately, that have to go to those measures to protect their students and their staff. I'm hoping things get better soon for all of us as it relates to those types of issues. I would hate to create a prison-like atmosphere in our schools. That would be horrible. The reality is that the world right now is very violent, and it's hard to predict what people will do. So we have to do the best we can, but arming teachers, metal detectors might be something that we look at, fencing the campuses in barbed wire. I don't think we should go there. I think we need to do things that assist students in terms of some of the issues that they may have, some of the things that we're trying to accomplish through the grant that we have. I think that's important. Creating as many positive relationships with kids as we can, reaching out to them when they need help. That's going to be important. And what's great about this is that in terms of the Graduation Matters Shelton issue, having a collective impact to deal with all these kinds of things, where we're not pointing at each other, well, you should have done this, you should have done that. It's the entire community coming together with all of our resources. When we need help, we're going to be there together to help our kids, to help our teachers, to help our schools. And I believe if we can't make that happen here in Shelton, nobody can. Because we have people that care dearly about kids and about the school system and about the community. There's a lot of pride and rich culture in Shelton, where I believe through the efforts that we're putting forth, we're going to be able to provide the support for our kids and for our teachers that we need today. There are many challenges out there. But if we all come together in an organized fashion, and each one of us knows our role and responsibility, we're going to make great progress. And I have faith that that's going to happen. Okay, folks. One last chance. Questions? I don't want to keep you here if you don't have any questions. But it's been my pleasure to be here with you this evening, and it's great to see this many people here. This is a very busy time of the year, and for you to make the effort to be here, that's wonderful, and it's greatly appreciated. We will start back up with our monthly forums. We combined November and December this evening because of the holiday season, but in January, we're going to start with an open forum that will focus on the budget and try to educate as many people as possible about school finance. The revenue stream, the expenditures, making sure that we're very transparent and open about how the school budget is developed and where we spend the money. So stay tuned for that in the month of January. And we're also going to be going out to every school and we're going to share with staff kind of a budget 101, school finance 101, so that when the budget is developed, there's no secrets, there's no doubt about what we're going to do with the budget. Everybody has the same information, and it's accurate and truthful and transparent. So that's what's in store to start 2016. I'd like to wish everybody happy holidays